So my name's Cameron. I've probably spoken to most of you or emailed most of you at some point. Like Jody said, I'm from NFT.cred. We are a minting platform. We're a platform for minting and distributing NFTs. I'll just ask these guys to pick up their microphones to your left, just so you can introduce yourselves. Oh, to your right. Yeah, go ahead.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Nate, the creator, designer, developer, and trash taker outer of Mintbase. It's an NFT minting and allocation tool as well.
Hi, I'm Julien Genestoux, the founder of Unlock Protocol, which is a protocol for membership that uses NFT to represent memberships.
Hey, Ryan from Fabrics. We founded a platform called Stratosphere where you can mint NFTs with normal databases.
Johan from Marble Cards. Marble Cards is the card game of the internet.
So thank you guys. So the thing that we all have in common is that we all have a platform that mints NFTs. And the problem that we're all trying to solve is sort of common. I think for a lot of people in the room, we all think about how do we increase adoption, one of blockchain, but for most of us in the room, we really care about non-fungible tokens. And everyone has probably had to explain to somebody, whether it's their partner or their parents or their kids, what an NFT is. And I think the easiest way that I've found to explain it is that NFTs are a medium. So I like to compare it to a CD. So most of you guys probably remember from the 2000s when you had a big stack of burnable CDs that you could put something on. Right? But until that CD had something meaningful on it, like a Rolling Stones record, it didn't really mean anything. So what we know at the moment about NFTs is that we have different standards like ERC 721, we have ERC 1155, we have the TTI bringing out these great standards and initiatives to get people to start using NFTs. But we know that having just a medium is not exciting enough, and if we want to increase adoption, we need to create focused experiences. So what we really want to do is, target our audience. We need to work out who the people are that we think can get benefit from NFTs. And for NFT cred, for example, and we'll go through, what we're all working on. What we know is that our product reaches these three different targets. So one is influencers for our cred brand. We know that influencers have digital assets, just like Ian was just talking about with podcasts. Just like Instagrammers have images, YouTubers have videos. Influencers have digital assets that, if we can associate well to the medium of NFTs, they can benefit from that format. Events, you guys are all receiving your NFT swag bag today, and here's some of the examples of focused experiences that people are minting with NFTs when we create these sort of focused channels. So has anyone sitting in the audience got one of these tickets? The NFT ticket from Mintbase. Right. So it's all thanks to this guy. Nate, maybe you could go ahead and talk through your minting experience.
Yeah, right now my hands are extremely sweaty because I built a redeemer upstairs, which my business partner is doing. But I want to thank everyone for their patience going through the redeeming process. What was the question?
So you've recently updated your minting process, and I think that was from learning of, feedback, creating a focused experience for people that want to create tickets. Maybe you could talk through, what you've done, why it's changed, all the different metadata points that you can now add to your Mintbase tokens.
Yeah, I came from rewriting Nike ID. It's basically a machine that does something incredibly complicated where you can design a shoe with a simple interface. I'm doing the same thing with tokens where I think we can make the process simple in a pretty easy way where maybe not my grandma, but my mom, I think, could probably figure her way out around this thing.
Awesome. And how many people have checked in with their NFT tickets today?
We had 8 when I left, and the check-in process was going pretty great. The goal is to have every asset on as many different wallets. So that's a challenge because I'm one human, I can't test on everything. But it seems to be going pretty well. That's awesome. So that means over 50 people have checked in with their NFT tickets today. No. 8 when I left. I've been hanging out there for the last 20 minutes, so I'm pins and needles. I want to see how it's going.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Nate. And then another focused experience that we wanted to talk about was marble cards. Who has a marble card? Anyone? So Johan, introduce yourself. Basically what Marble Cards is doing is creating a very understandable way for people to start creating and collecting NFTs. Johan, go ahead.
Sure. So we want to create a way for anyone to create a collectible or create a card of something that they are passionate about it, or something that they are interested in. So what you do is you pick a URL on the internet. It can be anything. It can be a meme on your meme. It can be a app on OpenSea and so on. And then you marble it, which means you make a token of it with the URL on chain. And then you get one of these cards with a auto-generated pattern. Think of it almost as a bookmark on chain. And what you can then do with it is play with it in the arena, which is basically trying to get attention to that card from other players. And so the vision behind the idea is to incentivize content curation, basically. We have a bunch of different content platforms on the web today, whereas none of them really incentivize people to make good curation, and the platforms monetize all of the attention and the curation themselves. Whereas what we want to do is give back to the ones who do the curation, give them tokens, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. And you've just have you pushed the new feature of battling cards just now? Maybe you could explain
It's out
that.
in beta. It's very rough still, but it's out there. So we've actually seen a couple of artists and so on marble their work and put it out in the arena, and it does really well. So they get a bunch of attention. People talk about their work and so on. So it's very interesting to see, even though it's very early.
Awesome, thank you. Now, Julien, for those of you that don't know Julien, he works on a project called Unlock. And Unlock is something that, as you can see here, I think probably everyone in the room recognizes this website. And everyone's had that annoying pop-up that says, you can only read to this point on Forbes.com because you haven't paid for membership. Or they're doing it on Medium now as well. So Julien is solving that problem with Unlock. Maybe you can explain how it works.
Yeah, so we're the way we think about Unlock is a protocol for memberships, and we think membership are the future business model of the web away from attention. So basically, rather than monetizing with ads and kind of clickbait and all of these things, we think more and more websites are starting to monetize with membership. Basically, you pay to be part of the group that can read content, that can get an ad-free experience like on Forbes, or can use certain features. And so the way this works is, as a creator, Forbes created what we call a lock, which is a smart contract that mints NFTs. And these NFTs are members' cards, basically. And so I can send money, and when I say money, it can be any ERC20, any Ethereum-based currency, to that lock to receive an NFT that would give me access to certain things, certain features. On Forbes.com, it's access to an ad-free experience.
Awesome, thank you. And Forbes, here we go. Here's the key that Julien's just talked about. So if you actually go to Forbes and you read their crypto section, right, you can actually do this.
Yeah, you can do this right now. If you go to Forbes.com/crypto-blockchain, you click on any article, you'll see this previous kind of button that says pay with Ether, the one that's here. You click on this and your crypto wallet will prompt you to pay, I think, about $1.50 for a week worth of ad-free experience, or $4 something for a month worth of ad-free experience, basically.
Yeah, awesome, thank you.
And then you get the NFT that sits in your wallet that is a Forbes NFT. So obviously that works for Forbes, but think of like any random blogger or podcaster or influencer that wants to have its own community and give access to, say, special features, special content that they publish, or even tickets to an event. They can easily use the membership to identify who are the members and give them access only to them.
Yeah, exactly. Access to events for people that pay for subscriptions to things. It's really cool. And then Ryan. So Ryan from Fabrics, these guys are solving a lot of problems for a lot of people. But I think what you want to talk about today was really what you're solving for enterprise, right? Enterprise that are minting NFTs using Fabrics.
Yeah, from the business standpoint, there's a lot of use cases of NFTs for businesses, SMBs, enterprises, and I think it starts at incentivization for the end user. NFTs offer three amazing qualities. They're authentic, they're tradable, and they're transferable. So now we have a digital good that the business can mint, but the end customer can own. So that plays in really well with coupons, with reward points, with gift cards. And that's something that we looked at and really tried using Ethereum for, but seeing Ethereum more as the actual financial base and a platform that we've developed called Stratosphere as the ability to mint these tokens en masse. So something that we had being built on top of Stratosphere is something called presale.money.
Yeah.
Is there another slide?
There is another slide.
Yes.
There it is.
Okay. This is it. So it's a mix of like Groupon plus non-fungible tokens. The ability where you as a small business owner can say, hey, I want to pre-sell some revenue. So let's say you run a pre-sale campaign for $100,000. Every end user receives an NFT that is locked up for a period of time. It is unlocked after a certain period of time, and others can then trade it. So if the NFT is initially sold at a 20% discount for example, store credit, other people would then come in and preferably buy it at a higher price in the future.
Yeah, that's awesome. I just want to jump back to the last slide, though. You've got in the center loyalty programs. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing with that. For everyone that hasn't looked at the program yet, we do have a panel later today about NFTs being used for loyalty programs as reward tokens. What's awesome is that it's actually being picked up by massive consulting companies like Tata Consultancy Services. They're actually rolling these things out for their clients. There's others like Grow Your Base, lots of projects that are trying to incentivize communities to do things using NFTs. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, definitely. So I think the one thing that blockchain brought is communities, strong communities, and the sight of how communities can really drive adoption and drive projects. So we've even seen larger companies, some enterprise companies get into this space of blockchain because the token feels like you own a digital asset of value. Whereas if you have airline points, you simply go onto a website and you think you have airline points. In this world, you feel you have something that's transferable, tradable, but authentic and that it can't be taken away. So it has a strong community effect and can really drive network growth, especially for projects that are just coming out of the gate and really want a strong community to join on at the get-go. And
just something on that point, a use case that we talk about a lot is like loyalty programs or access to things. An example might be you have access to a first-class lounge at an airport. And I think one of the benefits that people talk about a lot with NFTs is transferability. And the idea that, I have access to a lounge at the airport, but I'm not flying today, my wife is, I want to transfer it to her so that she can get in. The same thing can apply for loyalty programs, the same thing can apply for tickets. In fact, I think we had a handful of people actually transfer their NFT tickets from Mintbase for today before the event, just because it was just so easy. When people came to me and said, oh, I need to change a name on my ticket, and it was an Eventbrite ticket, it created a manual process for the event organizer, which is just not the case.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is you get to choose whatever wallet you want. Like this idea of all of our tickets going to my email. Anybody spent time right before an event or something, and you're like, oh, it's the Eventbrite thing, and you look through 1,000 emails. That's nuts. I want to have my ticket on my wallet that I know is what I choose as my own security and safety. So that's why we focused on these tickets, is it was complicated to do the Redeemer, but we focused on allowing everybody to use whatever wallet they want. Yep.
Yeah, awesome. And on that same point, Johan has actually got some marble cards that he's donated for today for the NFT swag bag. So later today, everyone's going to receive a notification email that basically says, here's your swag. And what that is like a wallet that contains actionable tokens or tokens from our sponsors and partners that you can actually claim in whatever wallet you want. And so, to that point of transferability, all of the marble cards that Johan's given us are, of course, unique, which is inherent from marble cards. Every URL is unique and can only be marbled once. But if you find one that you don't want, you can easily sell it on OpenSea. You can trade it with a friend. That benefit of transferability applies there too. And I think it's probably the same for the Forbes use case.
Yeah, unlock keys are also transferable. So take the example of Forbes. You have a 1 week long membership. You can transfer it to somebody else, and then you're not a member anymore. So you get to see ads again, but the person on the other end does not see ad for the remainder of the duration of the membership. What we have also is that unlocked membership are actually transferable partially as well. So you can transfer, say, a week or a day worth of a week of membership. So basically now I've got only 6 days left on my membership, and the person on the other end gets 1 day. So for ad-free experience, I don't think that makes a ton of sense, but think of it like sharing a paywalled article, right? Like, it happens to all of us where somebody sends you a link from a New York Times article that you can't read because you don't have a membership. What if that person can actually send you the link with, say, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour worth of their membership so you can read that articles? And that's something that's already possible to do with Unlock and that people are actually starting to do, which I think is pretty cool in that case.
Awesome, thank you. We've got about 5 minutes left. Do you guys have any other points that you want to raise before we open for questions? I really want someone to catch this.
Our big announcement as of yesterday is we ended up getting DAppCon. So 100% of the ticketing, so over 700 seats in Berlin for DAppCon will be using Mint-based for their ticketing system. So I'm pretty excited for the experimentation of that.
Woo. Congrats.
Go Nate. Congratulations. Are there any questions from the audience? Yeah, can we throw this? Can you catch Wendy?
Do you want to catch it?
All right, go ahead.
Great catch.
Speaking to the black part on top. AV, mic is not working. Catchbox mic. Okay, we can hear you. I'll repeat the question. Thanks, Ryan.
So, you mentioned your mom.
Yeah.
So, I'm a mom. So I was talking to my son last night about this event, and he said it reminds me a lot of Fortnite. And he said, we like if I wanted to, buy a Batman costume, I wanted my avatar to look like Batman. So I'd spend like $6.99. So he was sort of going through the whole Fortnite. Mm-hmm. So maybe you can explain to me, because part of my job here today is to go out of here and then educate all the people that don't know.
Thank you.
I think that's a really good analogy. The video games, and he was saying that Fortnite, it was free. You just play the game, and then if you want to upgrade, then you buy these things. So to me, it sounds really similar, and I think people will understand it more. If I, for example, write and use that as an example.
Yeah, thank you. So I think to sort of tie that into this topic as well, so NFT gaming, we have a number of talks today. I think NFT gaming was one of sort of the most prevalent use cases last year. We've seen that NFT gaming has increased. You can see we've got sponsors from NFT games. People are actually doing these things. Like Wendy was saying, her son plays Fortnite, he gets an upgrade, and thinks that if this thing was an NFT, I could actually trade it or I could sell it later. And there's a point that people talk about with NFT gaming is one of the things is like when you're at college and you're playing a lot of video games and then your parents say, grow up, you've got to go to work, you can't play these video games anymore. What NFTs actually allow you to do when those assets in game are actually tokenized is allow you to sell them. So the investment of time that you've spent playing that game, all those years and building that great account and that great avatar, you can actually go and seek some kind of return on that investment. But something that's really cool in terms of minting NFTs is that what we're actually starting to see now is that you can actually mint custom in-game assets. So there's a project we're working on with Neon District, if anyone knows Neon District and Blockade Games, which actually allows you to customize the skin of your character in the game. And then that custom skin is reflected via the NFT, which you can, of course, trade or sell or do whatever you want to do with it.
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to Crypto Voxels. Their avatar setup is pretty unique. If anyone's not following Crypto Voxels, it's a fascinating space.
Awesome. And also just about avatars in terms of shout outs, Somnium Space is one of the brands that's supporting us today. In the swag bag, you'll actually get a custom NFT NYC avatar to play with in that game, in that universe. So you can actually walk around inside the Somnium Space metaverse with an NFT NYC t-shirt on, which is pretty cool. And there's both men and women. So if you're a man and you get a woman and you want that, that's fine. If you want to trade with someone, you can do that too. I think we're about out of time, guys. Do you guys have anything else you want to say?
Yeah, I have a question. Everyone in the audience, who here has an NFT?
Yeah, that's good.
That is
number.
awesome.
Good question.
That's awesome.
Cheers to adoption.